I'm Calvin, I'm back, and today I'm talking about the new Standard Omni skates. Now, if you've been living under a rock and haven't been up to date with anything that's been going on in the blading scene, Law from 50/50 with Yandriel and Stefan Brando have been working on these skates for I think a couple, maybe a few years now. The hype train has been in the process during that time as well, with them going to expos and skate meets and everything and talking about it. And with Law and his Back to Blading YouTube channel, he's been talking about it as well, keeping people up to date with the process and shipping and factory stuff and blah 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 blah. Now there's already a few videos out, but I'm just gonna go over stuff with my own opinions, obviously. But before any of that, let's actually give you a rundown on the skates. Brand new mold, something that I've been working on through 3D printing. So they've been able to fix things very quickly and dial things in before they sent the final designs to the factory. So Law got the boots made in the same factory where he gets his 50/50 frames made. So similar plastics, relationship, all that kind of stuff definitely helps and plays into the whole manufacturing side of everything. Now since it's a whole new boot, it means it's a whole new sole plate. And they've also made new mounting hardware within the boot, which is an idea which makes me kind of think, like, why hasn't anyone done this earlier? It makes so much sense. This is the mounting hardware here. It's across and it mounts your sole plate and your skate frame. Pretty ingenious, so simple. Why hasn't anyone done this before? When you get these skates, they come with two different heel pads. One is harder than the other. So one is, I guess, would it be similar to what you get in your USDs? If you ever skate those, that kind of heel pad that comes with it. Similar in hardness, and then the black one is the softer one. So that's more for your aggressive style kind of shock absorption. I'm personally going to be skating them both, just because I generally skate a raised heel boot, and then I have another heel pad when I skate. And these boots are actually a flat sole boot, so it's not a raised heel. So that's something you guys have to get used to as well. You might have to play around with to kind of adjust, depending on what skates you generally skate. The skate has also come with a whole new frame, kind of. The frame itself is actually based on the 50/50 Balance 2 frame, but the groove is different. Now, these will not be sold aftermarket unless a random skate shop happens to have a couple spare lying around and sells them on that way. Otherwise, we as shops can't order these and can't sell them really, unless we buy a complete setup and someone happens to buy just the boot. Pretty interested to see what these skate like, because I do love the Balance 2 frames, but the groove on here has changed where it's more shallow, but then it has that tapered edge. In doing so, I reckon these would be better when skating flat, especially if you're riding like a 58 millimeter wheel, where I found the 50/50 Balance 2 frames perfect when you skated like a 56mm or a 55mm wheel. Anything above that is when you'd get wheel bite. So it will be interesting to see how these ride. Pretty hyped, even though I'm enjoying my AG60s. Anyway, what else is cool? What else? They also been going hard in development with their own liner, new stock liner, which is pretty sick. It's kind of plushy, but not over the top. They went hard with development, as in with the materials they use, even with this kind of leather that they use on the back. Is it leather? I don't even know what kind of material it is, but they found some materials just made too much noise, where it took them a while to figure some sort of material that would still give the grip so you wouldn't get heel raise, but also didn't make horrific squeaking noises in your boot, that kind of friction and rubbing. This is genius. I don't know if you can see, but just the lacing up system, simple, elasticy. I'm like, it's something people have done in the past. No company's ever come out with it as a stock thing on their products. So this is awesome, like to the point where I might actually steal this bit for my other liners. Neoprene toe for a little bit of extra stretchiness in that toe bit, which is great. And yeah, it just feels like for a stock liner, like this is solid, man. Another thing I personally appreciate about this skate is the size of the box. Now for the rest of you, you're probably not going to really care, but for someone like myself who sends out a lot of skates, this box is actually a fantastic size. It's under the threshold before the next price bracket of sending out skates. So it's nice and compact. The cardboard itself is thick enough, unlike Roches or Roaches. Their boxes are quite thin. The cardboard's quite thin and just things get punctured very easily. So this is a happy medium. Now, with this box being the size, it's nice and efficient, I guess, with how you put your skates in. But in doing so, the the frames and wheels actually come in a different bag separately in the box. So for us experienced skaters, it's not so much of a big deal because we know how to attach these onto our boots with the frame bolts. But as for anyone else who is more of a beginner and hasn't really toyed around with customization, you might not know. So I'm going to tell you now is get your frame, here's your boot, lines up, and you should get some frame bolts which are in the same bag as the Allen key. So you'll get 4 bolts, and if you're wondering what the hell they're for, they are to screw on your frames onto your boot. Bye-bye. I'm gonna skate these as they come. This is basically how they come. I should say the skates come anti-rocker. If you pre-ordered them, you could have done it as shell only or boot only, or as a full flat setup, which is what I went for. I got, instead of sending me the black wheels that are meant to come on these, I only got sent white wheels, so I reset them up. This is flat, and this is how I'll be skating them. First session is skating them stock, because I want to know what these feel like for the everyday person. So I just got back from my first little session skating the Standard Omnis. It was quite a small session, didn't really hang about, mainly due to one reason, but I will get to that a little later. Let's talk about the boot, the shell, and the fit, right? I found with this liner, it's kind of narrow, but it's quite snug, should I say. It's snug. So it kind of felt like skating a 909, but slightly more narrow. And I reckon it's due to the liner itself. The liner is, to me, is reminiscent of the Rain V3 liner, and the narrowness, especially around that part, I guess, of the foot. Yeah, not a bad thing, just snug. It felt alright. It felt okay. But for a stock liner, this is a very good liner. Now, let's talk about the flex and the cuffs, because that's always important to me. This is quite a stiff cuff with its lateral flex. I'm like to the point where I only clicked in the buckle about up to 5 clicks, 4 or 5 clicks. I kind of played around with that. I was able to, didn't really do any top sides or anything crazy. I think I'm gonna play around with the skates a bit more before I start really pushing it. Also, another interesting about this cuff is the forward and back flex. Now, this cuff doesn't actually move that much at all. Like, that's it. That's it, man. It's very stiff, but it's fine. It's like, that doesn't really matter so much, because that means all the pressure is really going into the buckle. So really stoked that Law listened to everyone and ended up making the buckle replaceable instead of riveted. That way, when that buckle gets broken, you can swap that out. The cuff kind of is a low cuff. It reminded me of a Roshi's cuff, but I wouldn't say stiffer. Kind of stiffer, but then at the same time more flexy. I know, it's hard to explain. Also, I'm not surprised they kind of did that. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they modeled it after the Solomon skates, where Solomon skates are riveted in the back of the cuffs, so they don't really flex at all. Since I know some of the team members used to skate Solomons. I mean, like, yeah, other people with other skates have always complained about too much forward flex. So that, you're not gonna have a problem at all with these skates, at all. The frame also skates fine. It's actually pretty good. I got minimal wheel bite. I mean, I still got a little bit, but that comes down to body positioning. It's been raining, and after it rains at my local skate park, everything has kind of like a little bit of a layer of rust. So as soon as I get there, I usually wax everything up. For these skates, for this whole experiment, I didn't wax a thing, just because I've heard about how fast the sole plates and everything are. In the footage you will see, I mean, like, I was sliding fine and I didn't wax a thing. I'm kind of gonna be scared to wax anything. Oh, nah. Any sole tricks, you'll still need wax. But yeah, they're fast, man. They're fast. What else? Yeah. Okay, so why I didn't really hang around the skate park and skate for that long is mainly due to the chassis. Now, when I was screwing these on, I noticed there was actually a little bit of a gap, and that is due to, if I can show you, if you can see, do you see that little gap in there? So this kind of bolt which is your frame bolt, sticks out ever so slightly on both sides. So when you screw in the chassis, the frame, it makes that point just at the front bend a little bit. The back's fine, that's fine. Those sole plate screws are fine, that's nice and flush. But yeah, by forcing that ever so slight push, it's made this frame feel like kind of like a banana rocker. So if I'm on these last 3 wheels, I'm nice and flat, but as I go to jump off, I was kind of felt like I didn't have the stability that I normally do, which freaked me out a little bit, hence why I didn't really have a big session. So that's something I'm gonna have to play around with. Now, I haven't seen anyone else online talk about this specific problem. It could be just the pair that I got. Also, I could probably just try and tighten up those screws more, and that might help. Also, in the end, I might have to Dremel ever so slightly the frame itself, so it doesn't hit those bolts. Oh, now I should also say, with the frame and those bolts, how it's kind of made at banana, it's not gonna matter if you're skating anti-rocker. It's not gonna matter one bit. It's only if you're gonna be skating flat that's gonna really make that bananaing a problem if you don't skate that way. If you're skating anti-rocker, your middle wheels aren't even touching the ground. It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna do jack. I have also tried these with my intuition liners. Haven't skated them though, but I found the fit wider with my intuitions. I also was able to put in my US 8 intuitions in here, my Veeam basement 8 US intuition liners in here, and they fit in fine. Also gave me more width, well, I felt like more width just because the liner was more wider, a bit more broken in. So that is probably going to be my next session in these, after I've tampered with them a little bit. But yeah, that's my first thoughts, first impressions. Definitely, I don't know, see what you think about my opinions. Also, don't be afraid to leave a comment or whatever and let others see your opinions about the skate itself, because more information, more knowledge, the better for everyone. Yeah, cheers, and I guess I will see you in the next video, which shouldn't be too far, because I'm definitely going to talk about, yeah, just more customization. Cheers, have a good one.